Welcome to lesson 1 of demystifying Python, and in this lesson I'm going to just go over kind of the underpinnings of this course, what we're going to try to accomplish together, what you're going to learn, and give you enough information so that you can decide if this course is right for you. First off, this document you're looking at is called a notebook, and there's a nice short link here for visiting this yourself. It's at mco.fyi/py1, so feel free to go ahead there. And when you do that, you'll get your own copy of this, or actually you'll be visiting this notebook, but you can make your own copy, as it says here, by clicking on File, Save a Copy in Drive. So feel free to do that, and then you'll have your own copy of this notebook and you can sort of follow along. It's actually not that critical for this introductory lesson, but as we go through further videos where there's going to be a lot more interactive engagement, it'll be useful for you to have your own copy. Okay, the theme of the course is to be very practical, so we're going to focus on actually doing things with Python, not just talking about it. There'll be a lot of learning by doing, so I'm going to give you a lot of opportunities to try things out. In fact, these notebooks lend themselves well to that because, as you'll see in future lessons, when I show you something, I'm going to show it to you in live code in this notebook environment, and you'll have a chance right away to run the same code that you see me running and to change it, experiment with it, and so on. And finally, this is for everyone, so there are literally no prerequisites. If you're brand new, you've never touched a programming language or any other tech thing before it, that's totally fine. We're just going to start at the beginning and take it one step at a time together. A little bit about me. My name's Mark. I have been teaching and programming for a long time, and I particularly like teaching about programming. So that's why I created this course. You can find out more about me at mco.dev. That's where I am on Twitter, mco_dev. And if you want to reach out to me for any reason, you can send me mail at mark@mco.dev. A quick summary of the logistics. The course will typically take on the order of 10 weeks. I use a flipped classroom model, and by that I mean that you do most of the work outside of class. You watch videos that I will make for you, probably 2 hours each week, hour and a half to 2 hours of video. And I break them up into chunks so you don't actually have to sit down and watch an hour-long video or 2-hour video. But I try to keep them small, and you can kind of work your way through a sequence of short videos. And there'll be about the same amount of time, hour and a half to 2 hours of homework assignments to do. So altogether, it's probably on the order of 3 to 4 hours a week of what I'll call study time. But I'll also be available twice a week for office hours. And so with this model, you're doing most of the learning by watching the videos and by doing homework, and then the office hours are there so that you can ask questions. And I'll probably use that time as well to go over some concepts that you've learned that week, or to maybe go through some more advanced examples. But we'll see. We'll play that out, see how it goes. What you're looking at here is, as I said, a Collab Notebook. And we'll use these for just about everything in the course, for lecture notes, for your homework assignments, etc. So each week I'll share a new notebook so that you can make your own copy and start working on your own. Later on, I will show you how to set up your own Python programming environment, but don't worry about that yet. We'll get there in a little while. But for now, the notebook gives us kind of a nice, easy to access environment where we can all start coding right away. So you can communicate with me anytime by this course email list. So feel free to use that for asking any kind of questions you have as you're working through the material. And you can always reach out to me by email at mark@mco.dev. The textbook we'll be using is called Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. It's by Al Swigart, and I think it's perfect for this course because it's targeted to beginners. You can read it for free online. It's very well written, and it has that same focus that I'm driving for, which is to be very practical and give you the opportunity to solve real problems using Python. If you do buy the book, as I said, you can read it for free online, but if you do want to have some people like to have the physical copy, and if you do buy it, make sure you get the second edition, because there's two editions, and the second one is more up to date. I just wanted to say a few words about learning to code, because I think people have some misconceptions about it, that it's only for people with serious math skills, or that it's really, really hard and you have to study for many years to do it. And I think a lot of those are myths. Programming in a way is mathematical, but it's also creative. And so there's a part of programming that I find has sort of almost an artistic sense to it. And so wherever you are on that spectrum between math and art, or left brain and right brain, or however you want to characterize it, I think there's a place in programming for you. Based on the amount of access you have to information and coding tools that we've developed, the prevalence of the internet and the web and all that stuff, there's really never been a better time in history to learn this skill. And I think you as you'll see, there's just amazing things you can do with it. So in many ways, it's kind of like a critical skill for this century, kind of like reading and writing. As long as you're willing to do some work, I really believe anyone can learn to program. The probably most critical thing to know about to plan to do is practice between classes. It's just like learning a musical instrument. You can't just read about it or listen to someone tell you about it. You have to actually practice, and that's what's going to show you the most progress. Give yourself time. You will get frustrated. You will kind of feel like you're hitting your head against the wall at some points. When you get there, just take a break. Feel free to ask somebody for help, and just know that everybody's been there. When things do go wrong, think about it in a positive way, which is to say that that's how you learn. If you're always going to make mistakes, and mistakes are really the way that you find out the way that you sort of burn in memories and the way you learn new things. So mistakes are okay. Try not to beat yourself up too much. And finally, the secret about professional programmers is they're not that much different in that they don't walk around with all this information in their heads all the time. We don't really know everything, and most of the time we're using Google to search for things, Stack Overflow to find out how other people have solved certain problems, searching for reference documentation on the Python site all the time, looking for resources and references to functions and library calls and things like that. So we're all kind of in the same boat of trying to figure out things all the time, and you never like really have learned it all and now you're ready to program. It's always a spectrum where you learn more every day. I think I'll close this video right here, but with the next upcoming video we'll go through some background on things like what an algorithm is, what a program is, what a programming language is, and what is Python exactly, and why it's a good language for you to learn.